Hello all, it's the 22nd of September 2016 and it's Dan here from Essex, United Kingdom. So, this is Cydonia Oblonga, otherwise known as quince. So, let's talk a little bit about a quince. Now, a quince is a member of the pear family, predominantly used sort of in cooking. Now, they look like a pear, but they tend to be harder and larger than most varieties of pear. Now, the things that you can use these for are quince jelly, quince vodka, quince jam, and you can also put them in apple pies and things like that. So let's say you're making an apple pie. Good thing to do is to use about 70% cooking apple and then use, 30% of one of these, and it can give a lovely tangy taste to the pie. I made one last year and I put some, so 70% cooking apple in. I used Bramley's, and 30% of these I put some raisins in, some cinnamon, and a little bit of sugar. I like my stuff a little bit sort of soury, so I don't put too much sugar in, but it does help to sweeten it up. Now, when these are ready, they tend to be sort of more yellow, but they do retain their hardness, which is generally why they are cooked. Now, I have known of people eating these with cheese. So what you do is you'll peel the skin off and slice them very thin, and eating them with cheese, the sort of contrast, the sort of smooth creaminess of the cheese can go quite well with the crisp sourness of the quince. But that isn't an acquired taste, but certainly is worth trying if that's your thing. Now, these are very popular in Eastern Europe. They're not grown so much so readily in the UK these days, but in Eastern Europe they're very popular. I've been told by a friend of mine that lots of quince trees in Hungary, and what they tend to do is make jelly out of them and jam. Now, these are about 60 to 70 pence each if you want to buy one of these in the UK, so it can be worth growing your own. So they are a nice fruit, nice shape. Now, I didn't plant this tree, and I believe this is variety Meech's prolific. It certainly does fit the shape of Meech's prolific. Now, there is another well-known variety here in the UK, and it's called Serbian Gold. But of course, there are other varieties as well. But certainly worth looking these up and seeing if you can find them. Now, I wouldn't recommend you grow one of these if you've just got room for one sort of tree. But of course, if you really like quinces, then they are worth growing due to the cost. But due to the fact you generally have to cook them, really, if you've got room for like 3 or 4 trees, then yeah, maybe you would consider one of these, or ideally more. But if you don't have that much room, this might not be the best thing for you. Although you can get dwarf varieties now, which apparently comfortably grow in a pot. So I've never tried one of these, but they are available. I've seen them in gardening magazines, excuse me a minute, and websites and things like that. Now, I believe this is on rootstock Quince C or Quince A, because these are commonly, the rootstocks used in the UK for these. So this is about 10 years old, this tree, and you can see it's got a decent size to it. Now, with regards to diseases, I shouldn't say this, but we've been very lucky. I've never known any sort of bugs or mites or worms or maggots or anything in these fruit, and we've never sprayed it either. So certainly, good in that regard. This one here has started to rot, but we don't mind that so much. Now, one good thing about quinces is they do let off a lovely aroma, especially when they're ripe. So what you want to do is pick them when they're ripe and leave them in a room for a few days, and you will notice that the room has a lovely smell to it. You have to excuse me, I think I'm fighting off a cold or something here. My voice is a bit raspy, isn't it? So yeah, the lovely leaves look very nice indeed, and because these are a member of the pear family, you can actually graft other varieties, things like pears and other quinces, onto this tree. I have considered maybe grafting another pear or another quince variety onto this. Last year this tree was carrying a huge crop, probably had about in excess of 100 quinces off of this tree. So that's your quince tree. Absolutely lovely. Okay, so you see here, these are some onions that we harvested from the allotment. We've got red and white onions, lovely taste. We all know what onions are used for, so I don't need to go too much into that. Now these here are some more bitter melons that I've picked. I picked these shortly, about 20 minutes ago, if that. And look at them, they're just getting better, these are. I mean, this warm weather we're getting is fantastic. And next year I intend to grow a lot more of these bitter melons, because I think, you know, look at that. I mean, if you have any sort of Asian foreign relatives or whatever, I mean, look at that. You know, these are expensive to buy, and they grow readily in a polytunnel in the UK. Certainly, you know, the good weather in this this time of year has helped, but you know, they grow readily. What beautiful things! I'm really chuffed. They blend in really well as well. Another one there. Look, gonna let that grow a bit bigger. They've got a really lovely earthy smell as well. You know, it just reminds me of sort of tropical lands, which is one reason why I like to grow things like this. Of course, we don't have a tropical climate here in the UK, but I mean, for example, here, look, this is a watermelon. There you go. I presume this is variety Blacktail Mountain. I mean, I'm not sure how good it's going to be, but it is indeed a watermelon anyway. So there we go, there's a bit of an update. I hope everybody out there's doing well. Speak soon.